Welcome everyone, this is Shadow Drake, and I'm sure you're here, but I basically put six scripts for basically having this type of assembly set up for your dish satellite room. And so I'm going to go through how to set up each chip from the six and what the names need to be. Now, as far as orientation, kind of build this up to how you desire. There's a lot of optional bits and pieces. A good chunk of this stuff is going to be through hash naming, and I will mention what is optional, what is not. For the most part, chips 1 and 2 are strictly for finding signal IDs and mirroring the satellites. So if you wish to have a completely different sort of tracker for that, that is completely fine. Chips 1 and 2 are essentially optional. Uh, Chips 3 is the most mandatory one because it is the one that writes the stack data to your medium satellite dish so that you can pull all this information. Chip 4 is going to be dealing strictly with this side of the board. It finds out the trader ID and turns on the appropriate lights. Chip as well as this one. It just gives you shuttle type, the tier, and whether it's contacted and time to resolve. Honestly, this is the most optional for chip 4, and I will cover that as well. Chip 5 reads the inventory data and is the one that works with the lever. So basically, chip 5 determines whether you're reading trader buy tab data or trader sell tab data, and it will write all its information to chip number 6. Chip number 6 is the one that's fully responsible for controlling the displays and the quantity small consoles and showing you any of the filters. And just as a brief overview, for example, if I were to flip this lever down, chip 5 will reread the new data. It takes about 3 to 5 seconds to display. Once it gets all of its information, it is going to write them all over to chip number 6. And chip number 6, as you see, will dynamically update the data. The other part of the system is with all chips, you can write any one of these filter IDs. Right now, the small trader is the one that we're seeing data for. There is going to be a memory chip assigned so that, for example, if I want to get 12861, which is large trader data, you can write it to the signal filter memory chip that's part of chip 1. And now the dish is going to give you information for that trader. And so that's what chips 1 and 2 are for, so that you can more easily filter the data. But again, that is up to you whether you want it. If you have another script that manually rotates the dish, or if you just want to manually rotate, chips 3 through 6 are the only ones that you need to just get this data. So without further ado, let's get started. So of course, first thing, to get any of the chip data, you have to subscribe to it. So I have the link through all 6 chips on my workshop. So you will have to subscribe to them, and then when you may have to restart the game. When you come to your computer, when you go to click edit, go to library up here, and it will show you all of the codes that you have subscribed to. Again, if you don't see any of these, you may have to restart the game, because usually the game loads up stuff for you after a restart. So we'll start with the first chip. The first chip will be the one, this might be what it looks like to you, it might be different. Sometimes Steam is not very good at grabbing the correct descriptions, and I don't know why it did not grab these descriptions very well. But the dish mirror and filter one, that's going to be the first one you work with. Sorry, to preface, you will need 6 IC housings for my entire setup, 6 IC10s. You're gonna need signs for your reference and information to know what things are doing or what's happening, what controls what. And you will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe those are 2 each. 2 and 9. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's another 2, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 consoles. So yeah, it's pretty console heavy. Again, a lot of these consoles can be optional to you as you see fit. So 28 consoles. You're going to need 7 total hash display chips, 8 memories, 7 for the inventory, 1 for the signal filter, 10 LED lights, and basically as many signs as you want for giving you information. So to start with, the first chip housing is going to be the dish mirror. And so I labeled my housing so that I can more easily find out what is what. I definitely recommend doing the same thing for your setup. The first one is going to be the dish mirror housing. And again, when you get the correct housing, for example, dish mirror housing, come on now, just to show you how it works. So obviously your chip is going to be blank. Again, once you subscribe to them, go to library. For dish mirror housing, it's going to be called dish mirror plus filter. It might change to the name, but that's basically what it is. Going ahead and hit load, and that will put all of that data into your chip. And as you can see, if you ever have a question as to how to name any consoles, look in the chip. I always have them defined at the top. So for example, you will need 4 names for this chip. mHor, which is the horizontal medium dish horizontal position, mVer, lHor, and lVer. If you want to more easily copy and paste it to the appropriate housing, hover over your name, hit Control C for copy. Might be able to just do copy as well. And then when you take your labeler to the correct console that you're going to use for that, just turn on your labeler, click on the console. And I'm just going to clear that just to show. I'm just going to give it a random name. Hover over the name. It's going to be the device name. Hit Control V. Okay, so it does not do that. Hover over the name. Control C. Control V. There you go. So just a quick. Again, hover over the name. Control C. Go to the correct console. Delete the name, Control V, and that gives you the exact name of the console. So for the first chip, that's what you're going to do. You have 4 small consoles to name. Now, if you are proficient in the code, you can change the hash ID here. The hash here is for the small LED console. Most of the ones that I use are the small LED console. You can always look it up in the Stationpedia, find the hash name, click on the name, copy, and then you can overwrite this with paste. If you want to change it to different consoles, that's how you may do it. But again, for the initial setup, almost all my consoles are small unless I state otherwise. So you will have 4 consoles to rename with the exact name: mHor, mVer, lHor, lVer. So once you got that done, now comes the housing settings. I'm just going to turn it off. D0 will be set to your medium satellite dish. D1 will be set to your large satellite dish. D2 will be set to your mirroring lever, which is, in this case, will be this lever for me. D3 will be your signal filter memory chip. In this case, that memory chip is up here. Again, how you set this whole setup is up to you, but just these 4 pins are necessary. Now, a question may come up, what if you don't have a large satellite dish? Because let's just be honest, a large satellite dish kit takes basically super alloys. If you are not at that point of the game, you can still use this code, and instead of adding the large satellite dish here, just tie it to your medium satellite dish. It'll still work. The housing will still do what it's supposed to, because after all, the most important thing for this setup is to have your signal filter memory dish so that it can read whatever signal filter you put and put it on your medium dish. So as you can see, it still turns on. It's still fine. This lever is just basically non-functional to you. Just don't even use it. When you finally can upgrade to have a large satellite dish, then come back, turn off the chip, set it to your large satellite dish. I went the wrong way. And then turn on the chip, and then you're free to use the mirroring setup. So that takes care of the first chip. The second chip is basically the data signal reader. It's just basically a display reader that just populates the data signals from your three dishes. Again, once again, if you do not have a large satellite dish at this point, just for that pin setting, which would be pin 1, just set that to your medium satellite dish or your small satellite dish. It does not matter. When you finally get that dish, that's when you can set that pin to the large dish. This chip is specifically to find the signal IDs. The reason being, you may want to filter through the different signal IDs. The reason I included the small is because the small satellite dish set at low power at just about any position will only ever see the closed trader. This can be useful for you when you're scanning for a trader to know what your your closest trader signal ID is, and as you're moving your medium dish and it matches that, you know you're at the closest trader. And if you see a completely different signal, you know you're at a higher tier trader. This is all this chip is for. It's completely optional. You may add it if you wish, but for setup purposes, it's the same thing. Go to your signal reader housing. Let me just clear that. Go to your library code after you've gotten that, and that one would be called dish signals. When you load dish signals from the workshop, it's going to be a fairly short code. And you can see I have 2 hash names that you need to get set correctly. Now these 2 are medium consoles. The reason being is I just wanted them to be bigger than the small dish so that I can just know, just from a visual glance, which one is going to be the medium dish and which is going to be the larger dish. So these use medium LED consoles for your signal IDs, and that's strictly all this chip does. Just finds the signal ID and posts them on those consoles. So this will be the small console, this will be the medium console, M signal ID, and that is M signal with a capital I, capital D at the end. It is not 2 L's, capital I, capital D at the end. But again, if you do the copy method from the IC10 and paste it to this, you're not going to have any issues. As far as chip settings, D0 will be your medium satellite dish. D1 will be your large satellite dish. Now, once again, if you don't have a large satellite dish, just set it to your medium satellite dish. It'll work just as fine until you can get one. D3 will be your small satellite dish. D2 will be your small satellite dish, excuse me. D3 will be the console for the small satellite dish signal. The reason I included that is in case you wanted to have this be a completely different size console. Because like I said, I made the medium and the large signals bigger than the small one. That's why that's included. So once you get the chip loaded up, turned on, you should see your signal ID for the closest trader that dish has to offer you. Again, these first 2 chips are very optional to you. They're only really there for dish controlling purposes. Now for the meat and potatoes. The next chip is going to be your stack writer chip. Once again, when you go select the appropriate housing, I definitely recommend renaming the housings. Go to your library, and the one that's going to be called is the medium dish stack writer. Go on ahead and load it. This one is going to be very straightforward, but it has user manipulation options, which I'll go over at the end of the video. But to start with, the only device you need is the medium satellite dish. So for your stack writer, it's the medium satellite dish, D0. That's all you need. When you first export this to the chip, you're going to see this light blink if you are able to catch it in time. That basically means that your medium dish has had the data written. There is no looping instruction in this, so this is basically a one-time fire chip, so you don't have to have this housing on or off. If you have questions or you need to resend information because you modified it, you can, as soon as you hit export, it will do so. If you just want to make sure, remove the chip from the housing, slot it back on. That yellow light lets you know, hey, it just wrote that data again. As a quick overview for what this dish does, It's going to write the trader signal data to be read from stack pointers 1 through 3. That data is going to be used by chip number 4. It's going to write filter trader inventory data in positions 18 and 19. That's going to be read by chip 5. It's going to write general trader inventory data for what's on their sell tab in positions 20 through 24. That's going to be consumed by chip 5. It's going to write trader buy tab data, what you can buy from the trader on positions 27 through 31. I have all of that description in the workshop for that, just so that you know what positions are being used and what. I left some spare space in case you wanted to add your own filters or adjust the filters. By default, I am filtering out cardboard boxes from the trader sell tab data because most of the times traders will buy ship repair packages or consumables package, and honestly, I don't see much of a need to see that data, so I have them filtered out. Alright, moving on. Now we're going to the trader data. This is going to be strictly what's working with the LEDs and the consoles over there. So this one's going to be a little bit more hefty. A good chunk of this stuff is essentially optional, so you can choose what you want to do. So that'll be trader data for me. When you go to your library, and that will be called trader data. This is probably the fewest ones that got copied correctly. Now when you write to this chip, it's going to be a very long piece of code. You will have 5 small consoles worth of name to use. This is up to you if you want to have these small consoles. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that. This is up to you if you want to include them. I personally do not find most of this data useful, but if you want to have it, you are free to get small consoles for this data. Additionally, you will need 10 LEDs placed, 10 LED light kits, because each one of those LEDs are going to be applied for a very specific type of trader. If you scroll down to where the push instructions are, you have the names for all 10 LEDs. This one's probably going to be the most in-depth setup, and I honestly recommend the LEDs so that you at least know what kind of trader it is you are looking at. So, same thing, hover over the name, Control-C, copy, go over to the LED. I don't even remember which one I copied. I think it was that one. When you go to the LED, hit paste and hit confirm. That's it. Now, the colors of the LEDs will only fire when you first set the chip in. So if you have the chip already loaded and you are doing the names, they're probably going to all stay white. When you have the chips already named correctly, what you can do is remove the chip and put it right back in, and that will refire the color code. And that should color all the chips. And I use a completely different color for every single LED, so that if one of them does not change from white, you at least have a good indication of which one it is that it is not working. Additionally, I have signs right next to the LED so that you have it is easier to know which one it is. Now I will say that this chip, I try to make sure that there were no set batch instructions, but unfortunately this chip is the only one with a set batch instruction. By default, this chip turns off all LEDs, and then there's further logic to turn on only the LED for the trader that matches the LED. So if you wish to have other LEDs on this network, fair warning that this chip is going to be working against you in terms of turning LEDs on. It will have no other control on the LEDs other than that. So that's how you name all the LEDs. Again, the small consoles to find out the shuttle type, the contact tier, whether they're trader tier, whether they're contacted, power to resolve, or the lifetime of the trader are all optional. Personally, due to bugs, power and lifetime are almost completely useless, particularly because this does not match, the power to resolve does not match what the dish actually needs to contact the trader, and the lifetime does not update except through a save and reload. These other three, the shuttle type, may not be helpful to you unless you want to specifically know whether it's a dropship or an airplane. The tier can be useful so that you know how hard it is to contact the trader, and the contacted may be useful to you if you want to know if you've already contacted them or not. So these consoles are completely optional. You may choose to use them if you wish. Probably for a full scale setup, you can ignore these consoles and naming. Device pin settings for the trader data. D0 will be your medium satellite dish. Once again, D1 would be the console that writes the trader ID hash. Now, for me, that's this medium console up here. I chose to have that separate from those because if you wanted to have this name bigger or not, it's up to you. But honestly, it always clips down the name, so you never see the full name. So that is chip number 4. Now we'll move on to chip number 5, the trader inventory. This one does not have very much going on to it. Once again, on the library, it'll be the one known as trader inventory. Go on ahead and write it in. This one does not have any devices for you to do. All you need is the first 3. You just need a 3 device pin set. So, device pins for trader inventory. D0 is your medium satellite dish. D1 D1 would be the housing for chip number 6. And this save I had named it console slot slider housing. Yeah, I had mistakes, but whatever you name the housing for your 6th chip, that's the one that you need to have in D1 because this will write information to the stack of that housing. And D2 will be your buy sell lever. How this chip works is it pulls the medium dish and it reads the inventory and filter data from the appropriate stack slots that chip number 3 sets. So chip number 3 is crucial for this, and chip number 6 is also mandatory. Now, as far as the buy sell lever data, when your lever is in the off position, you get the trader's sell data, aka stuff you sell to the trader. When you pull the lever, you now get the data and information for stuff that you can buy from the trader. So the chip number 5 handles that. It doesn't populate these consoles, it just gets this data and moves it to chip number 6 so that chip number 6 works with it. So that one is the simplest one. Now, the final one is the chip for reading that inventory data. And that one that will be called trader hash displayer. This one also will take quite a bit more setup, just like chip number 4. It is mandatory that you have the 5 consoles for displaying the 5 normal wares of data inside the device pins. So let's go over that. So as you can see, this is console W1, console W2, console W3, console W4, console W5. You can rename this as you wish, but just make sure that you name them something that you can find. The type of console does not matter. I chose to have the slanted console because it puts the power and data connection at the top, making it easier to have the quantity LEDs underneath it. But chip number 6 will have D0 be tied to console number 1, D1 to console number 2, D0 console number 1, D1 console number 2, D2 console number 3, D3 console number 4, and D4 console number 5. This is mandatory because what is behind all of these consoles for the trader inventory, you'll need 7 of them. What is behind all of these is a hash display circuit board. So each of these need their own hash display circuit board. Additional to that, you will need 7 memory chips. These are mandatory for the build as well. After all, the hash display console circuit boards have to map to their respective memory. The memories all have a very specific name as well. You have where 1 through 5, and then you have filter 1 and 2. If you need the exact name, again, you can pull up the script and you have the names for each of those already listed in your hash. Again, this is for memory chips, not hash display chips, memory chips. And that's where 1 through 5, filter 1 and 2. Optionally, you can have the quantity displays. And that's these small console displays underneath these inventory consoles. They're labeled QTY1 for quantity 1 all the way to 5. Again, same thing. You can grab the hash name from the computer, copy it, and just paste it. So as far as things go, depending on the trader data, this chip will filter out the data from chip number 5, determine if it is a gas or an item, and they will set the hash display chip to either display a gas or an item. And again, you will need a datadisk slot that when you slot it to the console, you need to find the appropriate hash display, because that's already said it won't do that. But just for simplicity's sake, let me spawn a new one. This is a blank one. So when you first slot the chip, put in your data disk. Depending on the console 1 will match to where 1. So filter for where. Find the where that it's supposed to be. Click on it, and that sets it up. And that's it. That talks about the complete setup for all of this. Add signs to assist you with that. And it's the same for the filters. Now, as far as what you may want to edit for what is displayed, if you feel comfortable with that, go back to your stack writer. If you wish to add different filter datas or change up what the filter data is, what I would definitely recommend is you add, for example, define, and let's say you wanted the Hades flower. So type in an appropriate name, find the Hades flower, for example. Let's do alpha strain. Copy the hash ID, paste it in there. Now when you scroll down, you'll see the different opcodes in my writer. The only ones that ideally you would want to change will be, for example, down here in the filters. I have commented out a bunch of filters. If you wish to add them, try that. You may add them, but keep in mind that I have data in different spots. If I remember correctly, codes position 4 and 8 are going to be the ones that affect your normal data. Let's see. Codes 13 through 17 are still free space that you can use to add your own. But if, for example, I wanted to filter for the Hades flower instead of the winter spawn, you can remove the prefab hash ID within this code 13, Hades, and export, and that should set it up. And well, I lucked out. This trader had a Hades flower. If your filter item does not show up in your filter console, it just means the trader does not have that. So that is how you can customize your filter however you wish. Um, Take great care that you don't adjust much else. But personally, I feel like the Darga and the Winter Spawn might be something that you may want for Vulcan or Venus. But if you want to filter for other items, you may change the names right here. Basically, the items from 61. These will affect the filter data. Again, if you want to add more filter codes, for example, add some spaces and then just basically copy the lines for the filter and put it in an appropriate code. So, like I said, lines 14 through 17 or stack pointers 14 through 17 are free. So if I wanted to have a filter code, do 14. And then this is trader by data in opcode 6. Do the same thing. Copy this as much as you want. Give it the correct index. And then put it in the correct code. But this is if you want to add some extra data. You don't have to do this. You don't even have to mess with this just to get the normal data. Okay. If you want to actually see cardboard box data on the trader cell tab, just comment out this code for put MSAT7 code. If you were to comment that out and write it, you will now start to see any cardboard box package data if the trader has that, in which case this trader did. But just keep in mind that it does tend to mess with the data a bit. It's why I don't particularly like to have that. As you can see, this hydroponics trader does have a probably consumables package, and it does mess with what you see. That's the only reason why that filter is there. Alright. And as you are browsing around for traders, let me just do a quick trader regenerate. Traders regenerate. This gives me completely brand new traders. You can see that my medium dish has found something. Oh, right, I still have a filter on here. One thing I forgot to mention about the filter. Set the filter to -1 so that the medium dish will always return a trader. So as it is right now, it seems that my medium dish has found an alloy trader, which supports my inventory. And as you can see why the quantity is optional. Usually, an alloy trader buys roughly 600 iron, 400 copper, and as you can see, this is not quite the quantity that it shows. So that's why I said the quantity is optional. And yet, for some reason, the buy data for the alloys makes more sense. So, yeah. But if we were to try to find, for example, this... Actually, that is the far tier trader. No, that's not the far tier trader. Yeah, I did find the far tier trader. But if, for example, I wanted to find other traders, just basically have the dish moving. And as the signal ID changes, that lets you know whether you found a completely different trader. So let me just drop the power a bit. That should keep me from finding the far tier trader. See, now we're at 13,779. And that is an ore trader because the brown light is blinking. And this is a medium tier trader. As you can tell, it seems that this guy is willing to buy oxygen, heavy drill with a large battery cell, and is willing, we can buy ores from them, which matches up the ore trader. So yeah, I know this is still pretty manual. I hope this helps you with setting up this whole setup. Make your whole space pretty and definitely better looking than what I have for this test bench. And I hope this has helped you. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye-bye.